very good morning to all the students of class 8. Dear students, I hope you people are fine and taking good care of yourself. Dear students, the thought of the day is, where there is a will, there is a way. Ja chahe wahan rahe. If you have will to do the work assigned to you, you will always do that. Be successful in your life. So, that is your will that you have to make strong. I, Nila Seni, your SST teacher, we were doing a chapter that is understanding law. And we all know, in the eyes of law, each and every human being is equal, whether he's rich, poor, president, or a poor person. But does this equality applies to all? There is a story which you have read in your chapter that it does not exist. There was a government employee whose son was given the punishment of 10 years jail because he committed some of the crime. But he was not given the punishment because his father was socially, economically and politically strong. So this was the violation of law. So is it allowed to violate law when the equality lies for all? Where did equality go in this place? As our constitution, we being in a democratic country, says that we are all equal in the eyes of laws. Law never discriminates anyone on any basis, may it be caste, creed, sex or religion. So, dear students, we know that in ancient India also, when the Britishers were there were many rules, but that time there was colonialism, and they had also violated so many of rules, and they were against the rules the Indians had. Like they didn't want the sati pratha, they did not want the child marriage, they wanted some of the rituals to be cut off from the society. But on the other hand, they wanted the Indians to turn into the Christianity, and the land was been assigned on that basis. If you turn to Christianity, you will be given a land. How does the new laws come about? नए laws हमारे कैसे आते हैं? Now, like we have done the law about the domestic violence, refers to the injuries or harm or the threat or the injuries or harm caused by an elderly male, usually by the husband to his wife. Injuries may be caused by physical beating up the woman or by emotionally abusing her. So, it can be emotional torture or the psychological torture or physical by beating the female. Abuse of the woman can also include verbal, sexual and economical abuse. These consist of verbal, economical and the sexual abuse. The protection of women from democracy includes Violation Act 2005 extended the understanding of the term domestic. इस term से 2005 Act से हम समझ गए what is domestic. Now, the protection of the women from democracy violates Action 2005 extended the understanding of the term democracy to include all the women who lived or have lived together in a shared household with the male member who is pretending the violence. After इतना ज़्यादा torture होने के बाद भी the female is staying with that male member. She is bearing the torture given by that male member. So, thus she has a right to fight for that. Now she is free to go to police and complain for that. She no more has to have that violence. उस violence को उसको झेलने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. अब इसी में बेटा आपकी स्टोरीज हैं. एक फीमेल बोलती है, शी इज़ अ वर्किंग वुमेन ऑल्सो, देन टू शी इज सेइंग माई हस्बैंड बीट्स मी अप. And the another one says that she's an old lady and her son and her daughter-in-law abuses her. But she is not at all financially so well off that she can change the house and live somewhere else. So now the laws to protect them. In December 2002, the Standing Committee submits its recommendation to the Rajya Sabha, and these were also tabled in the Lok Sabha. The committees reported expected most of the demands of the women's group. Finally, a new bill was reintroduced in Parliament in 2005 after being passing in both houses of parliaments, that is Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. It was sent to both it was sent to the president for his accent. आपको पता है जो भी लॉ बन जाते हैं वो फाइनली जाते हैं प्रेसिडेंट के पास हैं ताकि प्रेसिडेंट उसको एक्सटेंड दे सके. The Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act came into effect in 2006. 2006 में जाकर इसका इफेक्ट हुआ. Unpopular and controversial laws. Controversial or unpopular law we have already discussed, that is about the Rosa Parks, the African American who had fought for her existence because racially, according to the color, she was being discriminated by the American as the bus was empty, but he wanted to humiliate her and wanted her to empty the bus. Now, so many of types of protests are there, like candle march protest, the college student protest, the protest against the domestic violence. So these are what we understand our law system, how our law exists. Now coming up to the glossary, that is criticize, to find fault with or disapproval of a person or thing. In this context chapter, it refers to the citizen finding fault with the functioning of the government. Government की functioning से जो उन्हें problem होती है उसको इसमें refer किया गया है. Evolution, process of development from a single to a complex form, and is often used to discuss the development of the species of plants or animals. Selection. This applies to anything that the government might consider as striking up resistance of rebellion against. In such cases, the government does not need absolute evidence in order to arrest a person. The government does not need concern of anyone to arrest a person. Repressive, to control severely in order to prevent free and natural development or expression. To control and develop the natural free or development. Now coming up to the question and answer part. The first question is, write in your own ways, what do you understand by the term rule of law? In your response, include the fictitious or real story that violates the rules or laws. तो इसके अंदर हमें यहाँ तो अपनी एक खुद की कहानी लिखनी है, यहाँ एक बनकर कहानी लिखनी है, which we have done in our previous session, but I'll be quickly recapping if somebody have missed that. The rules of law falls under Article 14 of the Indian Constitution, in which it guarantees equality before the law. It means that no one is above the law and that every person is subject to the jurisdiction of ordinary courts of law, irrespective of his rank and position. किसी भी rank का हो, किसी भी position का हो. From a poor person to the president, be it a police constable or a collector, all are treated equally by law. The rules of law requires that no person should be subjected to harsh, uncivilized or arbitrary treatment. Thus, the Indian Constitution effectively applies the rule of laws. Now we have to give an example also for this. The minister, example is a minister along with some members of the company were involved in a scam. Scam होता है कोई गलती करना, कोई गड़बड़ करना जिसमें कि पैसा गवर्नमेंट का लगाया जाना और गवर्नमेंट के नॉलेज में ना होना. When an inquiry was conducted, the minister was discharged from the guilt, while the members of the company were charged guilty, as the prime minister was more powerful than the company members. He used his power to get rid of the guilt. Charges pressed against him. This shows the violation of the rules of law. Now, second question is, state two reasons why historians refers to the claim that the Britishers introduced the rule of laws in India. The two reasons why Britishers refused in the claim that the Britishers introduced the rule of law in India are: first, the colonial law was arbitrary, example, Sedition Act of 1870. Second, Indian national played a prominent role in the development of legislative sphere in British India. Third question, reread the story borders on how a new law on domestic violence got its pass. Describe in your own words that different ways in which women group would workers to make it happen. So the different ways in which the women workers to pass the Bill of Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act are: first, the women collectors were various companies of victims of domestic violence. They raised the issue of domestic violation in various forms such as campaigning. Next, various meetings were held in different organizations. Fourth, the bill was introduced to the Parliament in 2002. In December 2002, the recommendation of the Standing Committee was submitted to the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Finally, the protest of women from domestic violence came into effect in 2006. Now the last question is, write in your own words, what do you understand by the following sentences of page number 44-45? They also began fighting for great equalities and wanted to change the idea of laws from a set of rules that they were forced to obey to the law, including ideas of justice. Now the answer is, the line referred to the Indian nationalist feels violated. First point, during their rule, the British arbitrate the Indians by introducing the Sedition Act of 1870. Second point, the act stated that they are person protesting or criticizing the British government could be arrested without due trial. Third point, third point, thus, the Indian felt the need of bringing a change to the law which were terrorized and forced upon them. Fourth point, the starting protesting and criticizing the arbitrary use of the authority by the Britishers. Fifth, therefore, they fought for the great equality and wanted to change the ideas of law from a set of rules that they were forced to obey law as including ideas of justice. So dear student, on this note we complete our chapter. We will be further moving on to next chapter in our next section. Thank you and have a nice day.